this week, the name on the marquee has got to be Arman Tsarukyan, who this past weekend defeated Beneil Dariush by knockout in round number 1 of their 5-round main event. The official time, 1 minute and 4 seconds of the very first round. He dusted Dariush in just over a minute. What was your initial reaction, and what are your thoughts in the aftermath?
It's even wild right now to hear that it took 1 minute and 4 seconds. Like, it still sounds wrong. It's like it couldn't have been that quick.
He ran him over. He ran him over.
Real quick, as we adjust to this new setting, does my mic sound hot or good?
To me, you sound fine.
Okay.
What about me? What about my mic?
You sound normal. I mean, your mic situation hasn't changed, so I would hope you sound normal. But yeah, I still cannot believe how this fight went. I was settling in for what I'm imagining is going to be a long, competitive fight. I honestly fully expected to see that go the full 25 minutes. And next thing you know, Beneil Dariush is out cold on the mat. And it was a same side combo yet again. You're seeing these more and more in MMA lately, which is awesome to see. But this was a new wrinkle to it because this one wasn't like jab kick like we've seen out of a few guys. It was knee hook, and that's new. He grabbed the Thai plum through the knee. It may have partially landed. You can't really tell, but either way, it got Beneil to kind of snap his head up and back up with his head in the air. And Arman immediately followed with the right hook. And it was as flush as it gets, the ground and pound even more flush. And that was all it took for Arman. And that is a monster win for that man. That is exactly what he needed. And we're going to see, but I imagine that may go a long way in him getting the types of fights that he's been chasing and been unable to get for a while, because you knock out Beneil Dariush in 1 minute or whatever that was, all of a sudden you become a lot more interesting to guys like Oliveira and Gaethje and Poirier and even Islam. So we'll see what happens for him, but he has broken through to the very precipice of the elite.
Yeah, dude, after dropping the decision to Gamrot in summer of 2022, so a little over a year ago, he's now won his 3rd fight in a row, defeating Ismagulov, Joaquim Silva, and now Beneil Dariush. Silva and Dariush, both knockouts. And the man is just rising. I feel like Tsarukyan is a guy at lightweight who really nobody has wanted to fight, because he is this young phenom who is just so talented. He's just so talented. And it's crazy to think that his first fight in the UFC was a loss to Islam Makhachev.
I know, it is crazy.
And overall, he's just been on a tear ever since. He just has seemed untouchable. And even that fight against Gamrot was very close.
Yeah, I thought he won the fight. I mean, it was very close, don't get me wrong, but I had scored that fight for Arman.
Yeah. So Tsarukyan, man, he just looks so good. And did any of us pick Dariush last week? Did Omar pick Dariush?
I could tell you. I think we all would have. I think we all were on Arman. Oh, dude, I forgot I'm on the wrong computer. I don't have my files on it. For a little peek behind the scenes, I went to hook up to my laptop tonight and realized it had no USB ports. So now I'm on my wife's laptop so that I can plug in my mic and my camera, because usually I'm in my office on a different computer. Let's see. Last week, we all took Arman, so good for us. I did. This is one of my worst cards in a minute. Mike's lead is back up to 4 for those watching at home, so I'm in big trouble with 2 events left in the year.
Yeah, man, devastating finish, and devastating also for Beneil, who also is a guy. Not that he's a young phenom, but Beneil was sort of a late career phenom, so to speak, and also a guy that it seemed like not a lot of the established elite lightweights were jumping at the bit to fight, because Beneil is dangerous, man. He just is.
Oh, for sure.
So for Tsarukyan to do what he did to Beneil in just over a minute is jaw-dropping. It truly is. So
yeah,
I think
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that Tsarukyan finally has arrived, and I think that he's, after this win, he's pretty much undeniable, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. that doesn't mean he's going to get one of these fights, because I guess we'll jump into what the next fight could be. It still sounds like, according to Dana, that we are going to get Islam and Charles too. So let's assume Charles is not fighting Arman. That leaves Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. If Justin Gaethje tells you, as he's been telling you, I don't give a fuck, I'll sit as long as it takes, I'm fighting the winner of Islam and Charles Oliveira, no one would be surprised. If Dustin Poirier says, I'm only taking fights that really excite me at this point, and that one's not really getting me going to fight Arman Tsarukyan. I'd rather fight some other, who knows what super fight that they end up making. Would that shock anyone? Not really. So it's like, as undeniable as Arman Tsarukyan has become, it's still possible that none of those guys fight him. And if none of those guys fight him, then he's right back fighting someone who's still in the pack. So it's almost like this ascension was all for naught. So he's still in a tough spot. You would think either way, no matter who he fights, with one more win, he has to get talked about as like a title shot. So he's going to get there one way or the other if he keeps winning. But yeah, I don't know. I hope Poirier takes the fight, is my take on it, because I do think Justin seems like he's going to wait. I do think Oliveira is getting Islam. And that leaves Dustin. He keeps saying he wants to fight at UFC 300, that he just needs the fight that excites him. I don't know if this is it, but if there's any statement that Arman could have made to get Dustin to take the fight, that's it. And I know Dustin respects Beneil Dariush. He has said it before. So to see Beneil get put out like that, maybe he's like, you know what? Let me go out there. I got knocked out by Justin in my last fight. Let me go out there and turn back this guy and remind everyone how good I am. Maybe that happens in Poirier's head, and maybe we do get to see it. But I don't know.
So we will wait until the Prio rankings update to find out where you have Tsarukyan in the lightweight picture here. But I'll just say now that the UFC now ticked him all the way up to the 4 spot. So officially in the top 5 for the UFC. And
I think you can tell from my my fights that I just mentioned there that I have him in the same exact spot.
Yeah, pretty much.
He is number 4.
So in terms of matching him up, you would say Poirier would be your first choice if you were the matchmaker? Yeah. Really trying to nudge Poirier and be like, hey, look, this is the big one right here now.
Yep. That's what I'm trying to nudge. Anything below Poirier or, Gaethje, if it somehow worked, just feels like it's below what Arman should be doing right now. Like, it's not going to be Chandler. Chandler's waiting for Conor still. You would think it's not going to be a rematch with Gamrot. That doesn't feel like what should be happening right now. Fiziev is out. Hooker's out. Like, then you're all the way down to like Jalen Turner. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it almost has to be Poirier, or you're like, what are we doing?
And you think from Poirier's perspective, a win over Tsarukyan would justify him getting to Makhachev?
See, it all depends on timelines, because I don't know when Islam Charles is happening. It's so surprising to me that that's still not booked yet at this point. You would have thought that was on the calendar by now. And then if Justin is going to get the winner of that, obviously it's 2 more fights that the winner of Dustin and Arman would have to wait to play out. But if that was at UFC 300 and then the winner of Dustin and Arman just waits for a bit, they could be right there.
Okay. Let's say a bit about Beneil then. Tough loss at this point in his career. He had been on such a tear, rising so much. What do you think could be an appropriate next opponent for him at lightweight?
Yeah, Beneil's status right now is like a perfect depiction of how quickly things can go south in MMA. He was finally getting his title shot. He was supposed to fight Islam. Got hurt, fell apart. Or sorry, that wasn't his. He was supposed to fight Islam to become number 1 contender. Got hurt, fight fell apart, comes back, earns his way up to the Oliveira fight, has another shot to become the number 1 contender, loses that. Then he has to fight this young buck, loses that, and now he's like basically eliminated from the picture without some crazy run. So it's like he got so close to finally reaching it. and now he's knocked way back. But for him, the fight I would love to see is Dan Hooker. I'm not sure how long Hooker's out. Obviously, he was supposed to fight Bobby Green on this card, and he just pulled out. But I would imagine Beneil getting finished two straight times the way he did. He may like to take a little time. And Neil and Hooker just seems like a fight that we got to cross off the list before we're done. So totally. That's where I would love to go.
Beneil and Dan Hooker?
Correct.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, my heart goes out to the guy. He was on an 8-fight win streak in the UFC lightweight division, defeating quickly Thiago Moises, Drew Dober, Frank Camacho, Drakkar Klose, Scott Holtzman, Carlos Diego Ferreira, Tony Ferguson, and Mateusz Gamrot.
Yeah.
That is quite an 8-fight win streak.
Hell yeah.
And then Charles finishes him and Arman finishes him. Like, he gets right to the top of the mountain and then he tumbles down, and it's tough, man. It's real tough.
It's tough.
Okay. Let's move on. I think that Conor and Chandler will fight within the next 5 to 8 years.
It is painful, isn't it? Like, truthfully, I don't understand what could possibly be preventing it from being booked. Conor came back into the pool. Every time you see him in an interview, he is begging for a date to be given to him. Literally begging as if he is desperate. Like, saying, they've taken my livelihood, I just want a date. So, like, what is stopping a date from being given? I don't understand.
Yeah. Could it be drug testing? Could it be...
he's back in the pool. Like, just pick a date that's enough days away.
But hasn't Conor also expressed, like, wavering interest in the fight against Chandler?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, really? Because I keep seeing Chandler being like, I'm going to keep waiting. No matter what, he has to fight me. Like, kind of indicating that Conor has become disinterested in the fight with Chandler.
You see Conor mention other names, like, on Twitter and shit, but every single interview I ever see with him, he's literally like, I don't care who I fight. They've taken my livelihood away from me. All I want is a date. I'm training. I'm ready to go. I just want a date. So, like, it certainly sounds like if they give him a date and they say the fight is Michael Chandler, he's going to be like, sounds good to me.